Alright, hello you guys. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to double check my caster and my camber on the front end. Make sure that she's going to drive straight down the road and be easy to control at high rates of speed, etc, etc. So there's a lot of information about caster and camber on the good old interwebs, so I'm not going to bore you with too much of that, but I do want to just kind of get the general idea across. So I have got the standard sizes for the 63 to 82 Corvette, the standard specs for, basically I'm going to go with the daily driver here just for now. The toe is actually already set to 1/32 in, just slightly, so that's good. I'm comfortable with that. The camber I just looked at is set to 0 degrees. The caster is what I'm concerned with currently, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that in a minute. And then this is offset A-arms, which is not applicable to my situation. So I have the entire process here just written out, and I'll put my notes in there. Essentially what caster and camber are is, camber is the angle of the wheel leaning in or out, kind of this direction, right? So this is camber. You want your camber either straight up and down or slightly in at the top so that the bottom is slightly out. That gives you better grip on, for racing. Like racing cars, you'll see really insane levels of camber where the wheel is just awkwardly rotated out the wrong way. So let's look at that from this angle. Again, camber is this angle here from top to bottom, in and out. Caster, if you think of casters like on a shopping cart or other device, is the angle of the spindle actually and how it tracks. So caster is the angle of the two ball there's a line between the two ball joints, okay? That's not a real line actually, but an imaginary line. A 0 caster would be straight up and down. Positive caster is when the angle is tipped back this way. So you can also think of like a motorcycle front end, you know, how the front forks are kind of raked back this way. They do that on purpose, and it gives the vehicle a really, really solid forward rolling. Your wheels don't like when you're driving a motorcycle at high speed, the front end doesn't wobble. If it's 0, you're going to get a little wobble, and if it's negative like this, you're going to get seriously bad wobble. Like you're going to get a front end shimmy. My car currently has a slight front end shimmy when I go up to about 55 or so. So that's what I'm looking at currently. I have double checked to make sure that the camber is set correctly, and I do that the simple way. This is the poor person's way of doing this, I guess. I have a magnetic gauge that shows me the angle at which that wheel is sitting, and as you can see, it's perfectly vertical. In order to figure out what the caster is on this, unfortunately there's nowhere up underneath here that I could measure that, so I have to turn the wheel to the left, take that angle measurement, and then turn it to the right and take that angle measurement, subtract one from the other, and that gives me my caster angle. So that's going to be not a whole lot of fun, because just getting down in here to adjust this is going to be tricky. Inside the upper A-arm here, there are these shims, and you can see the shims on that side. Right there. There are a shit ton of shims here. There's about a 1/2 inch or more of shimming on this side than on this side. I just left those shims where they are when I did my front end rebuild recently, because you know, one would assume that those shims were from the original or the last setup, of course, but I have not checked it since then, so hence why I'm doing it now. Let's see. So yeah, by the way, the last tune-up I did on her, awesome. She's running so well now. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the wheels to the right and take that measurement, and I'll show you what that reading looks like. Alright, so turn the wheels to the right. Did not need to start it, by the way. I was worried that I might. And now, let's see. As you can see on the gauge there, it is now reading at about 1.5, maybe 2 degrees. I can't really see it, so I'll probably just zoom up on this and look at it. But there's that reading, so I will write that down, and then I'll turn the wheels the other direction. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this very well. I did 2 measurements. The first is A, so with the wheels cocked to the left. Now this is just rough. This is not an end-all be-all alignment here. So the first setting, let's look at the straight wheels. So this is my straight wheels here. This is the left driver's side front and the passenger side. My initial readings were 90 degrees both sides. Then when I would turn the wheels either way, I got exactly 90 degrees of angle, and then 89 and 88.5. So they were pretty close. However, there wasn't really enough. Well, they weren't identical, but they're close. Then I went and I moved a smaller shim from the front to the back on this side, and basically what that is I took a small shim from this side here, right there, a tiny shim, or not the tiniest shim, there's a really small one there, and I moved it here, so that has the effect of adjusting the this upper A arm back that way slightly. So very small movement, right? It puts the top ball joint just behind the angle, so that when rolling down the road, the spindle is castered back slightly like this, right? So this side needed just a slight caster this way. And then what I did on the other side is I did the opposite, because there were a ton of shims on the back. Don't focus on that. And I moved one of them to the front, and then I remeasured. I suspect that side was slightly out. Well, on the first go at this, if I just average this one at 89, these were about the same. So the first roll around, it was 89 degrees. 90, that's a 1 degree of camber, right? And that's about right on here. It was like 1.5, so it was a little bit more on this one. So when I adjusted them, I went back and I checked, and my straight angles, 89 and 90, I think that's within tolerance. It's pretty close to 90 still. And these are going to be roughly the same as they were initially, simply because I just moved one shim from front to back. So the distance from of the top of the A arm this direction, which has the effect of moving this ball joint in or out this way, is what is adjusting your camber. So I didn't want to take the shim out completely, because I didn't want to lose that camber. So it may have slightly adjusted, but I think it's within tolerance. So now what I have is 88 degrees to the right when the wheels are rotated full right, and then I have 90 degrees still when rotated full left. Why do you get a 2 degree drop to the right and not to the left? I'm not quite sure. it does show the complete difference of about 2 degrees between each of these. So theoretically, to get the desired 3.75, is that right? Or is it 2.75? 2.75. So I'm at 2 degrees now. 2.75 is ideal for every situation. So really, ideally, what I should probably do is go ahead and move this one to the back, and then one of those thinner ones to the back on that side, right? Give myself a little bit more caster. But really what I wanted to do is just get them set so that they're equal. So I've got 2 degrees of caster on each side, and I'm going to stick with that and then take her for a drive and see how she rides. Also coming up on, maybe in this video, I'm not sure, but I'm going to replace this rag joint. So right here is the steering rag joint is called, because there's a rubber kind of a joint right there. This one looks like it's in semi-decent shape, but really it's not. This gap here is worn out. There's a pin right here, so this is attached to this side. It's a 2-piece metal unit with rubber clamped in between. And then this side bolts to the rubber here, and then this side bolts to the rubber there. And as you can see, that's pretty crushed. So I'm going to go see if I have the right sockets to get on these nuts. They're different. They're like those Torx type bolts. I don't know if you can see that or not. I can't get it to focus on there. But they're like a star nut, so that's going to be a challenge to get those off of there. I have squirted some de-rust stuff, liquid wrench type stuff on there, but I have not yet tried to loosen those up or remove it. But one nice thing about doing that is I have everything equally adjusted underneath the car. I don't want to mess with the toe setting, but my wheels are straight, and as you can see, the wheel is off slightly, so that bothers me. I like a straight steering wheel. She tracks pretty well down the road, but I think she's going to track even better now that I have evened out the caster and everything. So we're good to go on that, and rag joint should be up next on the chopping block. All right, I'm just chillaxing in my car. I'm looking forward to driving it again soon. I love the interior on this. It's just classic, and you know, it just has that cool hot rod kind of feel. I don't know if you know this, but did you know that you can turn this ring and the wheel will telescope in and out? Isn't that freaking cool? And just tighten it up and you're good to go. Of course, there's tilt, so it tilts up and down. But it, you know, and it doesn't really move terribly far forward. A little bit, somewhat. I don't know. Maybe this was an option on these cars. I'm not sure, but yeah. Anyway, a lot of people don't like this steering wheel because this is the this is unique to the 76. Before this, they had the nice tri-spoke wheel with the metal spokes, really pretty, almost the same wheel that I have in my CJ back there. But then in 76 they decided to go with this wheel, which is the quote Vega wheel, because these were used in the Vega. I had a 71 Chevy Vega station wagon when I was a kid, and I loved it, but it was kind of a piece of crap. Not a really well-built car, you know, not designed for heavy use really, like one of these is. But anyway, so for whatever silly reason, they decided, let's use that wheel in here. And, you know, I don't dislike it. I actually, in fact, I like it. It's nice to hold on right here. Sometimes I might hold here, but, you know, it's okay. I'm not going to replace it. It's unique to the car, and I think that that's special, even though it's from a not so special car. You know, let's see, let's tilt this down. There we go. One of the problems with this wheel, though, is that this is about my view right here. As you can see, a lot of the gauge gets cut off. If I was taller or set up further, maybe, then that would look better. Maybe I should sit up a little bit higher. I don't know. I like to slouch down when I drive. Why do you need to know that? You don't. I'm just sharing. I'm a lover of cars, and I love this one the most of all my cars I've ever owned. I wish I had a C3 Corvette that had a 454 and, you know, a 5-speed Tremec or something or whatever. But, you know, I'm not a drag racer, so I don't need that kind of power. I'm a cruiser. I like the GT style driving, you know. So as much as I want like a big block Corvette, I really kind of like the lighter weight, more sprightly kind of. I want to zoom up and down through the hills and the mountains and things like that. So always fun. Trying to think if there's any other cool features aside from my overhead console idea that I've designed and 3D printed. I need to start producing these so I can start selling them. They're actually quite cool. I don't have the I mean, that's hooked up and the lights work and everything, but only this one and this one are set up to turn these on. Battery's disconnected currently, though. There's a gate controller. I put in my own gate controller down there. Had this fence put in, and then a gate put in, and then I put the controller setup in. Just electric actuators. That's really nice because I feel like a real princess coming and going from my castle through the main gate. Anyway, look at that though. I mean, you can't beat that view. That is just like the coolest spot to drive from. Anyway, I'm just kind of being silly, just sort of going on about my car here. There we go. Just trying to pass the time because I don't want to get out of it yet. I like to sit in it. I'm going to take her for a drive later this week. Not now. It's getting dark, but she runs great. She handles so much better. New spring in the back. New everything in the front. Aligned. Everything's good. I think my trailing arms are fine for now. I'm just going to leave them where they are. I'm not going to worry about that. And I'm just going to enjoy driving it soon. One of the coolest places around this area to go is a place called Canyon Lake. So I'm going to plot out a drive out there, which I will record, and I will post on the channel. Until next time, I'll see you either on the road or in the shop or in the dirt, as it may be.